This is day 2. Welcome to part 3 of our series. We're going to conclude our roundup of the arcade machines. Since it's a little bit quieter here, I'm going to play a little bit more tubing. Maybe you can actually hear the sound this time around. Let's take a look at some of Konami's earlier games. I don't know how to pronounce this one. It's based on King Tut. This is my first time ever seeing it in person. Frogger, another early Konami game. You might remember that episode of Seinfeld about him. Gyrus, this one's known for its vector graphics. This is Super Cobra from the very early 80s. Contra and Super Contra. You know, I think of Contra as being an NES game, but the arcade is where it all started. I still think I prefer the NES versions a little bit better. Over there, Chaz is having fun with Lethal Enforcers. Space Invaders and Kicks are two of Taito's most well-known games. To celebrate that longevity, this cabinet came out in about the year 2000. This has color Space Invaders on this side and Kicks on this side. Right here we're playing Ice Cold Beer. This is an electromechanical game by Taito, and the title perhaps alludes to their alcoholic origins. They were originally a vodka sales company. Huh? I didn't get anything. Top Speed. This is a racing game that Taito made in the late 80s. Bubble Bobble, iconic multiplayer game. Neo Geo Mini, this one has Bust-A-Move and Metal Slug in it. Neo Geo NVS with Samurai Showdown 3. Fantasy, this was published by Rockola, but this game was originally made by SNK. This is one of the earlier SNK games. This Rockola cabinet is actually a multi-Rockola unit. Here we have Nibbler, Rockola's most successful arcade game. Moon Patrol, this game was made by Irem. It was licensed to Williams, though. Let's take a look at a few more early Sega games. Zaxxon, this time we're going to see it in action. In the 1980s, Michael Jackson was the most famous person on the planet. He loved video games, he loved Sega games, he got his own Sega game. Virtual On. This is something I'm pretty excited to see. Back when we used to live in Florida, there was a place that had these. I hadn't seen one of these in person probably about 22 years. This is Virtual On. Frenzy by Stern. Stern is mostly known for being a pinball manufacturer, but they made a few arcade games. Let's look at some Namco games. I feel like Namco games are a benchmark for your arcade. If you don't have any Namco games, if you don't have a Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man, Galaga, your arcade doesn't count. It's just not worth a damn. Bosconian, this is one that seems to slip under most people's radars. Pac-Man's Pixel Bash, this has many Z80 Namco games in it. Junior Pac-Man and Mappy. Just look at that artwork, it's magnificent. So what makes Junior Pac-Man special is that this is the first game in the series where the play area goes beyond the initial play screen. Nintendo is famous for their consoles, but they're no stranger to the arcades. This row contains some of their oldest games. Hellfire, this came out in 1980. This game has never been re-released. This predates Donkey Kong by 2 years. Some people would say that this game is derivative of Space Invaders, and it kind of is, but this is an obscure, under-collected piece of Nintendo history, and you don't see it every day. And that's why we catalog it. I just love the design and artwork of these things. They don't make them like this anymore. Versus Gonzalez, we're gonna force Chaz to play it. There you shot the old man. There's one of them is a bad guy.
The old man looks pretty mean.
Huh?
The old man looks pretty mean. Let's take me to the next round.
Versus Super Mario Brothers. It's the game we all know and love, but it screws with your muscle memory. This is R-Type by Irem. This is one of the last games Nintendo published as they started getting out of the arcade business. The game was originally made by Irem, though. Punch Out, this came out in 1983. This is where the series all started, in the arcade.
Body blow, body blow, body blow, body blow, down to the hill.
Alright, well that's going to do it for the arcade machines. Maybe one or two is going to sneak into the other parts, but for the next part, we're going to do a rundown of the console. Stay tuned. If you missed one of the earlier installments, be sure to check them out over here. Otherwise, stay tuned for more Software Agents TV.